All right. All right. Good evening, folks, and welcome to Truths to Live By. And I am your host, Juanita Price of Absolute Truth Ministries. Each week on Sundays, specifically at 7 o'clock p.m., we meet here, usually live. We'll see how live goes because this is fairly new to all of us, but we are hoping that it is live. And if it's not, don't worry, you will not miss it. But weekly at 7 p.m. on Sundays, Eastern Standard Time, you are going to get to hear some of the questions that our viewers have written in about. All right. And these are going to be questions that are near and dear to their hearts, things that are burning in their hearts and their minds. Now, right now, the attempt is to deal with at least 5 of those questions. And so if you don't hear your question, don't fret, don't get upset. Okay, it's just that yours is not one of the ones that was selected for this week, but who knows? It may be on the subsequent broadcast. If you'd like your question to be, you want to get it into us no later than on Thursday evening so that we have the time to review it and vet it for appropriate. And so tonight it is very fitting because it is the 4th of July. And so I have kind of cloned it Fireworks Sunday. It so happens that most of the questions that came in centered around relationships. Go figure, relationships on the 4th of July. And as you in the room, hello, 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 or coming online. I'm so used to being in a Zoom room, right? But hello, and please take a moment to like and subscribe that way. If you subscribe each and every time I go live, you will receive a note, be it on your text, your via text on your cell, I should say, on your laptop, wherever you have an internet connection and you are signed on, you're going to get notified when we go live. Okay, so this is the second week that we've been doing this. And so far, it has been a blessing, and I have high expectations even for this evening. And as I said to you, tonight it's all about relationships, and I got some really good questions in here. We'd like to try to do this in under an hour, and I don't think tonight will be any different. So if you've taken the time out to like and subscribe and also to share with others, get them in here. Gather them in this place so that folks can hear some really good questions and what I believe are some great answers to the questions that folks have written in. All right, so here we go. What is question number 1? All right, question number 1 is this. I am newly divorced and find myself wanting the ex. Oh, these ex questions. I am newly divorced and I find myself wanting the happiness and to regret his decision. Is this right? I think that this is a very, very common theme for many that have been divorced or that have ended a relationship. And so I'm so happy that this question was asked because I'm going to take my time with it to really deal with it. All right. Again, the question for those that are just now catching up to this is I am newly divorced and find myself wanting the ex to see my happiness and to regret his decision. Is this right? So I assume that, first of all, that this was the ex's decision. A divorce was their decision. And so this person is wanting to know, is it right to still want them to see their happiness and to regret their decision? And my very terminated. It is terminated. And what benefit is it for you to know that they're regretting their decision? Are you perhaps waiting for them to come back to you? Maybe that you want them to tell you that they regret the decision and perhaps to re-propose, if you will. And this is, I'm not going to leave this person with feeling that they're weird, or strange in some way. I think that it also, to me, it suggests that that person is also human, because who enjoys having to experience such a thing in their lives? But there are so many that even though the marriage covenant has been broken and the marriage has been terminated, in their hearts, they're still longing. There's a part of them that kind of wishes, for a sense of normalcy to return to their lives in the form of a relationship. But hear me, as tough as this is, as painful as divorce can be, the first step, the very first step, is acceptance. It has taken place. And then all of your energy should be invested in first of all, praying, for this transition to be a transition that is peaceful, a transition that is healthy for you, a transition that does not bring you into sort of this back and forth tug of war in your heart, to where you're actually tearing yourself more than the actual divorce has gotten. So is it kind of common for someone to feel that way and want this person to regret their decision? It is common. But don't park your car there. Move forward, and whether or not they regret their decision or not is neither here nor there for you. What you owe it to yourself to do, and what God, I know, would want you to do, is to move forward. Because if you're looking back, it is hard, it is going to be very difficult to even be able to see the opportunities that lay ahead in your future. And I'm one of these people that I know for a fact that God loves us tremendously, and that more than we want our lives to be blessed, more than we want to feel normal and to experience normalcy in our life, God wants that more than ever. In fact, I don't even want to call it normalcy. God wants the very best. He is committed, completely committed to our highest good. And so pining over the past is not committing to your highest good. It is time to sort of leave the past behind. That's what the forgetting is about. You're leaving that past behind, and you are focusing on what lies ahead. And sometimes Satan can convince a person that life is just completely over. They can never be happy again. They can never find love again. You know what? That to me is so far from the truth. I believe that if we submit to the Lord and we allow our hearts, to be filled with God's love, God's opportunities for us, and we open ourselves up to the possibility to love again, you follow that there's some good things potentially that lie ahead for you. Looking back only spells injury. Move forward. Thank God for whatever it is that you got out of your marriage when you were married. If there's anything redeemable at all, thank God for that particular time and place in your life. But look forward knowing that, listen, God can do exceedingly abundantly and above all that you can ask or think. And so think big. Father, I want to love again. But not only do I want to love again, God, I want to be loved again. I want to receive that love again. I want to be loved again. And I'm speaking specifically between the love that occurs between a man and a woman. I have a feeling that if divorce has occurred, there are some things that stand to be fixed and healed, and to improve about, in both sides. And so in front of you lies opportunity, an opportunity for God to exceed your wildest expectations and dream. It is his opportunity to bless your life and to fill your heart, and especially that place and that a hole has been left behind. So while, yes, you know that you were a catch and you were so awesome, in God, yeah, sure, if he does regret it, so be it. But that opportunity is gone for him. Some people, I want to joke, but forgive me if it seems in bad taste. But listen, your loss. We hear people saying that if it's a thing where we really are hoping and desiring, them to regret their decision, then I would think that an appropriate response is, that's your loss. All right. So God bless you who submitted this question. The Lord loves you, and so now it's time to look forward and know that you can. Know that you can, and you can afford to await with this expectation that God is going to bless your life. Your life is not over. You are not the totality, of the covenant that you've made with someone that is now broken. All right. All right. Next question. Oh my. How do I get my boyfriend on the same page as I am about wanting to be married? If you're out there, give me a thumbs up and say, I've heard it before. This is me. I've thought about this in my single days. I think about it now. And that's only if you don't mind folks knowing, this is how you feel. Or I know someone like that, kind of let me know that you get where I am coming from when I read this question, that you can completely identify with this particular viewer that wrote in this question. I got some amens on here. Oh wow, this one was really great, and I'll read that hopefully later because it's relevant to the question that I just read, which actually looks really good here. But anyway, so this person wants to know, how can they get their boyfriend on the same page? How do I get the person I'm dating on the same page as I am about wanting to be married? Wow. Think about that for a minute. How do I get someone on the same page? Like, what does it scream to you right away? What it screams to me right away is that this was something that was not discussed or vetted before the dating began. So now we have someone that is now obviously a little bit far along in their relationship with someone, and all the signs, are pointing their way, and those signs are telling them that this boyfriend is not interested. Like, they really want him to be on the same page, and they're wanting to know, what can I do to get him on the same page? All right, it is a very good question. So first of all, just hang tight for a minute. Don't get sad and discouraged by this. But when I thought about this, I'm always thinking about what is actually best for us, because oftentimes we set ourselves up for disappointment sometimes, because sometimes we have a little bit of stubborn beliefs, and then we want to somehow, control the outcomes and so forth. But I think that the best thing for this person to do, first of all, it is definitely to pray. Not to pray so much that God changes this person's heart. Maybe the prayers should be, Father, show me if this person has it in their heart to make an eternal covenant with me, and help me not to allow myself to be sort of strung along. Help me, God, to want more for myself, more out of my future. Help me not to become discouraged, in this relationship, and help me not to internalize, the treatment, or the messaging that I am getting, but help me to respond in a way that is healthy. Help me to make quality decisions concerning myself. And that first decision is to start by recognizing and preparing your heart to learn that he may be on another page. Prepare your heart to learn that he may be on another page. Often we put our stakes only in the outcome that we want very badly. We also want to be careful about being manipulative, dropping hints, and, just auditioning, for that wife. I've seen many women never really receiving, this the right kind of attention in a relationship. They really are in this relationship for a while, and there just does not seem to be any end in sight with respect to the ending that they want, the happily ever after. But the thing here is that you have to come to this place of potentially learning, by preparing your heart to potentially learn that he may be on another page. This question, of course, is probably coming from this place of recognition that leads you to believe that marriage may not be on his mind. So what does one do when marriage is not on someone's mind? Well, it isn't to manipulate them into getting on the same page, but it is time to have a little talk, a sit down, to definitely educate right now, and to share your heart with this person. Like, listen, I am not going to be this career, eternal girlfriend, that I really do. I desire to spend my life with you. I desire to take our relationship to a place of covenant. What are you thinking in terms of this relationship? Where are we headed in your mind? Because I noticed that you never mention marriage, or when I mention marriage, you skip the subject. And so every sign is telling me that this is not in our future where you're concerned. But I say this, prepare your heart. Prepare your heart. A lot of times we race in, and we haven't prepared our heart, or we race in with only one expectation in mind, but we're not thinking what happens, to me, what am I to do? Are there going to be accountabilities, in place in my mind, when I have this discussion with him? What if he tells me that he is not interested? Am I going to be strong enough to take a stand and end it? Am I going to be strong enough, to kind of keep it together while we're having this conversation, to where it's not going to end up in a big blow up? Because after all, he is within his rights to say that he does not want a permanent relationship with you. He does not want to marry you. And then I've even had men tell women flat out, that they're not sure she's the one. And whenever a man says that to a woman, I tell that woman, listen, what he's telling you, what he's just said, is that he's holding out for something better. How does that make you feel, ladies? How does that make you feel when someone says they're not sure you're the one, that you're the one, but in the meantime, they still want to carry on and receive all of the benefits, that really happens between a husband and wife, the things that husbands and wives should only be doing. This person and you are in a relationship that's like a husband and wife, except this person does not want to commit to you. They do not want a commitment. They want to be able to take this to the very end, to where they no longer have a place for you in their lives, and they want that freedom to be able to walk away. They're saying they don't want to have a covenant with you. All right. I also want to talk about this. Now, this is a little bit beyond this particular question. And I shouldn't get ahead of myself, because there was another question that kind of comes in on the tail of this that came in very late. So I may forgive me if I end up repeating myself. But before we get into relationships, we must be very thoughtful about them. Not hormonal. Do not be led about by your hormones. I know that TV teaches us, to respond to, goosebumps and chills and heart palpitations, and daydreaming and things like that. It sounds like stomach virus to me. But TV teaches us that, this is the things of which love are made of. But before you ladies, and if men are watching, you gentlemen, even think about dating, it should not be entered into without giving a lot of thought to this. Do not allow hormones alone to lead, because hormones will take you into something just expecting that part of you to be satisfied, but that no one's ever thought of where this is heading, where we want it to head. So we should put a lot of thought into this. All right. Do not approach relationships like the storybooks, boy meets girl, boy kisses girl, or what about the song, Susie and Johnny sitting in a tree, Kissing. First comes love, but in this case, no marriage. But then comes whatever her name is with the baby carriage. And this is kind of the things, that relationships are kind of made of, when there has been no discussion, there's no intention on someone, forming a covenant with you, even though that's something that you truly desperately, want to have with them. And so when you don't think about these things deeply, there's when you don't discuss these things at the onset, there's no end goal in mind except to just be with each other until you get tired of each other, or something better comes along. All right, so I'm getting some really interesting comments coming in, mostly one word comments, and then some emojis. Oh my goodness. And so anyway, so let's go to the next one. Okay, so this one I kind of left, for a little later on into our viewer questions because I have a lot to say about it. This question is, all right, what advice would you give to Christian women who want to start dating again? Okay. What are some do's and what are some don'ts? What advice would you give to Christian women who want to start dating again? What are some do's and don'ts? What do you think I'm going to say as the first do? If you said the word pray and hopefully in all caps with about 59 exclamation points, you're absolutely right. That is the first to my lips. Pray. Absolutely pray. And then examine your reasons for wanting to date. I am finding that the desire to date or to have a companion, is not really linked to things that it should be linked to. There are people that even on holidays like the 4th of July, they're sitting in sadness and depression because they don't have a significant other, like literally. And it's the messaging that our nation sends, our generation sends as well, that there are people who do not think that they can enjoy life. They put their lives on hold completely. They don't have the faintest idea about what brings them joy, what they're really, really good at. They really cannot envision themselves doing anything exciting unless they have someone on their arm, someone to share it with. And so if that's you, that's the wrong reason to begin dating. And so first I think that we should examine our reasons for wanting to date. You pray. Ask the Lord to show you, to get at the root, of why it is that I want to date at all. Others would say it's loneliness. And guess what? Just because you are alone, okay, doesn't mean that you have to be lonely. There are people who truly struggle with loneliness, and they believe that having a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, or a wife will take away that loneliness. Can I tell you a little secret? Not so. There are other reasons that are behind these feelings of loneliness. People aren't who resolve loneliness in us. That's a God thing. There's a void somewhere in you. And I know that God is just the one to fill that void. You could actually be married. You could be lying right in the bed next to that warm body and yet still deal with loneliness. I talk to people all the time, who are either married or they have a boyfriend, girlfriend, and they are so alone. And one of their chief complaints is the fact that there's no connectedness. That even though I have someone in my life, there's no connectedness. We're definitely not on the same page. It's not someone that I can come home to and to share the big moments in my life, my joys, my sadness, my whatever. Even though that person's there, they're still, not even meeting those needs, let alone meeting some need of loneliness. I believe that God is the one who completely fills your cup to the brim. I had a comment that came in that says the loneliest I have felt is sharing a home with a husband who didn't. Yes, sharing a home with a husband who did not want to be with me. And I would even say that, yeah, that I love that comment because I think it adds sometimes to that. It can add, to feelings of loneliness when you are in a relationship with someone who is present but absent, who's abandoned you but yet they're present, or they've rejected you and yes they're present. I've lived long enough to know that the really big bad things in our life, we know that Satan is behind it, and he will make sure to send someone our way to make sure that they're making it worse. Not better, but worse. And the worst is to have a companion and someone in your life and they not know Jesus. and they're not connected to you, and they're not praying for you, and they're not discerning what your needs are. They're those that connect and partner up in relationships that came because they felt that there was something that you would fulfill for them. They didn't come to give, they came to take. So examine your reasons for wanting to date. Look for possibly someone to share. I'm sorry. One of the other things that you do want to do, the do's, is you want to make sure that when you do date, that, or should I say, you need to determine whether your reasons for dating is to actually look for someone to share your life with in marriage. Is that what you're doing? Is that what you are looking to achieve in marriage? Or is it because you need someone to kind of celebrate the 4th of July? You want to be able to have celebrate Valentine's Day. Do you want the chocolates, and the gifts, it looks really romantic, all the Hallmark movies, and I love Hallmark movies. And I love them particularly around the holiday season for whatever my reasons are. But I am also mature enough and sober enough to know that these are folks that are acting, right? And that it's very dangerous, and it even is a little silly for me to try to pattern my life, after something that's just a 60-minute, display. So if you are dating, you must consider whether you are truly looking for someone possibly to share your life with in marriage. Okay. You do and should know what you want. You can't date and not know what you want. And definitely you want to know whether it aligns with the will of God. I imagine with the many divorces, not all, so don't get me wrong, but the many divorces and relationship breakups that occur, if these were people that we truly prayed about, waited for God's answers, or that when we began to consider them, was our eyes wide open? Or were we the type that kind of dismisses the alarms that goes off? Did we kind of flick away, some bad signs that we were kind of getting? So you must vet the person before you decide to continuously date in order to determine whether they have the same interests. Don't get your heartstrings all entangled before you start thinking and vetting. You want to vet this person before you decide to continue forward and to move forward in a continuous dating sort of arrangement. You need to vet them first before you decide to kind of continue on. Do they have the same interests? I see this all of the time, with Christian women. Girl meets guy, guy is handsome, guy expresses an interest, but the guy doesn't share your views, with respect to Christ. They do not follow your God theology, if you will. The you're having to practically fight them off when you've decided and determined that you're going to wait until you are married to have sex. But yet each and every date, all the romance, the touching, the everything is triggering you all over the place here. That needs to be decided. Don't wait until you enter into a relationship with someone and kind of keep it going, only to then tell them, I'm sorry, they're all over you. And then you're telling them in that moment, I'm sorry, I don't believe in sex before marriage. We need to have these discussions early on. And we need to make sure that they're serious discussions. Just because you have hazel eyes or blue eyes and you're successful, or whatever it is your flavor is, does not mean that you continue on with this person before asking very serious questions. But not just asking very serious questions, making sure that we are both in agreement that there are certain boundaries that cannot be crossed. I can't say it enough, do not wait until you're further into the relationship to begin having these serious discussions. One of the things that I know is true is that when your heart becomes engaged with anybody, it's very difficult to kind of stand on your values. It's a fight almost. And if you've allowed yourself to become detached, when it's time for you to say no, that no a lot of times is not very firm, and so do not trigger yourself because you did not vet this person well, and you've covenanted together, on certain terms, of this dating situation. And that's only if they make it, to that box, so to speak. I hope this is helpful to someone. All right. Do not date someone who does not know what they want. Remember, when it comes to marriage, to a husband, this is priest of the home. This is he's head of the wife. You understand this? He's pastor, if you will, of your home. This is the person that you are to be able to submit to. Okay. So if they are casual, they are not intentional, and this is purely about hormones and chill bumps, that is a problem. Do not date somebody who does not know what they want. One more, well, it's not one more, I have several more on the subject, but this is really important. Pace yourself. Take your time. It is not that serious. Not in the early stages, it's not. Pace yourself and take your time. That will help you to develop some you have discipline, but this will help you to leverage those disciplines, so to speak. Pace yourself. It is unhealthy to speak to someone every single day from sun up to sundown. I wake up to you, I fall asleep to you, and so forth, and that I don't have any space for perspective, to think about things, to pray about things. You had a red flag that day, but instead of praying about that red flag, the first, as soon as the sun rose, you're on the phone and you're talking with this person while you're getting dressed for work, and you walk out the door and you've missed 3 buttons, because you're so engaged that you're not paying attention to what is going on. And then after a long day's work and texting in between and talking on your lunch break with the same person, oh, I love you more, you look pretty today, but you look handsome, no, you're beautiful, no, you're beautiful. And this is us constantly for the entire day, right? And then you go home, you're cooking dinner and you're talking, then you're sitting down and you're talking to them. And then you're like, hold on. I'm going to put you on speaker while I jump in the shower, and you're talking, and then you take the phone, you dry, hold on, I don't want to get electrocuted. You dry it off. But you there? I can hear you. Can you hear me? I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. And then you go to bed, and then you fall. You need time. Pace yourself. Pace yourself. Space yourself. I have a little formula. I'm not saying that this should be your formula, but it's a formula, and it's a formula that I share with a lot of singles. 1 day on, 1 day off. And if you can manage one day on and 2 day off, by all means take it. What is 1 day on, 1 day off? If I talk to you today, we're not talking tomorrow. If I spend time with you today, we're not spending time together tomorrow. Folks, you need time for perspective. I guarantee you, there is something that God will want to bring to your attention. The Lord will pace you so that this person will not become your idol, so that the conflict of interest won't be so deep that you can't say no, that you can't think about the Lord, seeking the Lord and seeking God's wishes on the matter. You won't know how to pray for them, let alone them knowing how to pray for you. But space yourself, pace yourself, and make sure that you are taking the time you need to be thoughtful about this person whose hazel eyes are staring at you, across the room. Give yourself that breathing space to seek the Lord and to hear from God, and to go over your conversations, what was said to you. One of the things that's so very easily missed, and I will say this regarding women a lot of times, is sometimes we ladies are swept off of our feet because the man appears to want to protect us, right? It falls under the umbrella of protection, but it really is under the umbrella of disrespect. And that is the need for them to think for you, the need for them to protect you. Call me, call me. Listen, you call me as soon as you get there. What have you been doing for 20 years of your life, or 30 years of your life? And all of a sudden you're being treated like this fragile object, and we are all googly eyed because we see this as love and someone caring for me when it's actually control. And you definitely want to be careful about that. This is an area that you set boundaries. You don't need anyone to conduct your business, to pay your bills, to think for you, speak for you. You don't need to call them, because you're sitting across the desk from a salesman, and the salesman happens to be a guy, and now you just need a guy to speak for you and things like that. Hear me when I tell you, that never ends well. You find that when you do covenant with that person in a marriage, it's usually going to hurt you, because then you've got to run everything by them. Some women even experience abuse in this area, where they are ridiculed and put down because they didn't run absolutely everything. And I'm talking even down to their hair. I've known people that have gotten to major fights because they did not ask this person if they could cut their own hair or color their hair. Do not allow anyone to treat you like you're fragile. You remember that you and the man, you were created in the image of God, and you do not need anybody to rescue you. And if you need to be rescued, that's not the time to get married. That is the time to get yourself rooted and grounded in the God identity, and to learn how to handle your business, to learn how to meet challenges, face to face, without the need for someone looking over your shoulder and rescuing you. And if you are, as Genesis puts it, a companion that is comparable and suitable, when that person goes down, you're able to kind of step into gear. That doesn't describe anybody that's fragile and that cannot think for themselves and that's gullible and naive, does it? Well, do not. That is a red flag for you. If you're ever dating someone that wants to take away your power to think and to make decisions and to go on about your life, your single life, that's a red flag. Is this control that I'm staring in the face, and not love and care and concern for me? Okay. And you get those answers by giving yourself time to seek the Lord and to get perspective. Okay. And to just hear from God on the subject. Okay. Are you looking for a friendship? Because some people are dating, but they really want friendship. You're not really looking for a romantic interest, but you're looking for friendship. Well, that's not dating, is it? Because again, there's going to be some hurt feelings. There's going to be some embarrassing moments, some awkwardness, that kind of thing. That's if it's a friend you're looking for, know how to distinguish the two. And sometimes we can think that companionship is what we need, but what it is that our true desire is you want friendship, someone to kind of share, a friendship love with, and know what that person is thinking. Because many times, and I've seen this more often than not, their feelings are hurt, they're devastated, and they feel as if they've been led on and strung along, and they and listen, and there's been some truth to some of it, because of course, when a person, kind of gets connected with you, after a while they get accustomed to you being around, and so they kind of condition themselves, to kind of do a little extra when it seems like you're kind of, what I mean, backing away a little bit. So just be careful. Know exactly what it is that you desire. And you get this, not from your taste buds alone, but by seeking, truly seeking, Lord God, what is it that I need? This is the desire of my heart, God. And listen, and trust the Lord enough to pick your desires up and to place them at his feet and allow his spotlight, to shine all over it, and allow him to say, okay, I'm going to give you this back. This is okay. This is not. Will you give this to me? Because God is not going to take it. He's asking, will you give this to me? And that's called humbling yourself and submitting to the will of God. There are many who will not pray about a relationship because they are afraid that God is not going to give them the answer they want. Will that be you? Has that been me? I'm sure it has been at some point in my life. But know that the Lord has your best interest at heart at all times, and he loves you more than anybody could ever think about loving you. And so you want to know, train yourself. Even though I want this so bad and I would be utterly disappointed to lose it. Listen, let the Lord love on you and give it to the Lord and allow the Lord to tell you if this is a good thing or it's not a good thing. Because remember, he can see so much further than that rock that you can throw. And you can have an arm like Hank Aaron, somebody. Okay, but God sees beyond all of that. He sees beyond the fig leaves. He sees beyond the butterflies. He sees beyond all of this, guys. He knows that this is going to be your greatest devastation. He knows it. He knows the games that people play with your heart. Okay? And the Lord wants to spare you from that. Let's seek out and desire his will. So be clear, ladies. Be clear in your words. Be clear in your actions. Be clear in your boundaries. Assess your readiness. Okay? Assess your readiness. Again, do not allow feelings and hormones to lead. Assess your readiness. Have you ever sat yourself down and say, you know what? Although this joker is fine as wine and just my kind, I ain't ready for this. I am not ready for this. Like, really, be that person that loves your God and loves yourself enough that you sit down and you assess your readiness. What is this really about? Is it old hurts? Is it an old lingering hurt that I am trying to resolve with dating? The one that got away, I was never the same again. Am I trying to resolve this with that? Am I not? And that's the thing. Is that last one completely purged out of your system? Don't listen to Betty White. Betty White will get us in trouble. I'll never forget that episode when she said that the best way to get over a man is to get under him. Don't listen to her, folks. She will get you in trouble. She will get you diseased and your heart broken. She will position you to connect with somebody that will reach clean into your chest and snatch your heart out without anesthesia. Don't listen to that. You don't get over someone else by jumping into a new relationship thinking that that's what's going to bring you healing. Okay? Take the time to heal. To heal. Take the time to reassess. Is that really what I even want? Because this is what many of us do. We go from one relationship to the next relationship, and we're looking for the last one, in every one. And we've never actually sat down and allowed the Lord to, as the scriptures say, to purge us with hyssop that we might be clean, to really heal us, to erase all that stuff that's sewn into our life script that is controlling our emotions and our choices. God wants to do that, and he wants your desires to be aligned with his desires for you. There's such a thing as someone that has a craving for junk food. I see it a lot, in Hollywood, where out of that came, that phrase about women that love bad boys. That's a craving for junk. Who wants a bad boy? Who wants that? But folks have trained our taste buds, to where we're craving that which is not good, and we're passing over that which is. And so we want the Lord to align our desires with his best for our lives, even in that realm. Okay? Don't listen to the strawberry letters. Y'all know about the strawberry letters. Some of you may, with Steve Harvey, some of the questions sometimes that folks, they're reading off. It blows my mind. And most of the time, and this is no, put down, but most of the time, from the advice to the questions is a lot of times not the will of God. Please, there are so many that are watching television, and television is teaching them, or superstars in Hollywood is teaching them what is best for them. If you want to know what's best for you, you got to go to God. But do this. Love yourself enough to just come to a full stop. I ain't ready for this. I am doing nothing but compensating for something. What about this? What about looking to be validated through dating? There are women who don't feel beautiful unless they have somebody. And so therefore, if I'm single, it means that I'm not beautiful. Okay? Don't look for validation through that. Don't look for proof that someone desires you and so forth through dating. That's not what that is for. Assess your readiness. This is the last one, just on the subject. Okay? Are you easily triggered sexually? Will dating actually introduce sexual pressure that you're not yet ready for? Okay? Listen, if you are triggered sexually just about when the wind blows, like somebody can't look into your eyes and you're about to melt right there all over the place. You can't take a man to touch your hand, or to perhaps, maybe he touches your shoulder, and you ready to just break all kind of covenants with God. You are not that one. Some women, you're just not ready for that yet, because you're very easily triggered and you've not gained the mastery yet over that flesh. You've not lingered long enough to buffet this body. You're going to need that, because you're going to be in some situations, because you listen, you may know you, or you may think you know you, but you definitely don't know the person sitting across the table from you. And you're going to need to mean what you say. And your body, your mind, and everything must have mastered this discipline, the discipline that goes with God's will for you. And so if you can't watch a movie on the wrong day, so to speak, let alone every man that just says hello, and you're melting, it ain't time. Pay attention to yourself. Seek the Lord. Be truthful in that area. I can remember a time many years ago. I was a young girl. Some man said hi to me. I'd be sitting at home watching the Andy Griffith show or something, and I'm still thinking about it. He just said hi. You're never going to see him again. Okay? But be careful, ladies. If you be true to yourself. If you're triggered sexually, very easily triggered, that is not the time. That is the time to say no. Nope, not yet, because the next thing you know, I'm going to be in an adulterous situation, or in a situation, of fornication, and that's going to devastate me, because I really do love the Lord, and I know people that really do love the Lord, but they're just not ready. They're doing something way prematurely until they've truly disciplined their flesh and made and spent time buffeting it. Okay. All right. So the last one of tonight, oh my goodness, this one is probably going to be a little short and sweet, and it was one of the questions that came in. So this person said, they're not asking, but they were asking because they're always asked this question. What is the purpose of marriage if you already love someone? It's just a piece of paper. How many of you have ever heard someone say that? This piece, it's just a piece of paper. Like what do we need to get married for? We love each other. We don't need a piece of paper to say that we love each other. What is the purpose of that? Right? Does that sound familiar to anyone that's out there? I'll be checking out your chats later. I'm sure this is not the first time you've heard that. But you know what I noticed? That these so-called people that are in so much in love, oh, I just love you. I don't need anybody to tell me, I don't need that piece of paper. Then what's your problem with the paper then? Because if you are so much in love and you don't need to buy anybody to tell you that, what's the point? Who cares about the paper? Go on and sign the piece of paper. Go on and do that. What is the problem? Why are we making a big deal then about this piece of paper? Am I right or am I right? I'm making a big deal about this piece of paper because I love you and I don't need anybody telling you. No, ain't nobody telling you. One, it's a law of the land. Okay. Two, yeah, I know you all in love today. Okay. But if you're really as in love as you say, you have no problem entering into a covenant and documenting publicly that covenant and documenting legally that you've made that covenant. No, you're right. It's not the piece of paper that says it, okay? The fact that you make the covenant, okay? This is what this is about. It's about covenant. And it's about a covenant that you make that you're going to keep for all the days of your life. That is the intention, to keep it all the days of your life. And you don't mind marching down to City Hall, signing on the dotted line. If there's a fee, you'll pay the fee. I don't think you got to get shots in this country anymore. But whatever the case is, that piece of paper is just a formality and you don't mind doing it. And so that's kind of my answer to that. It's those who have a problem with covenant that usually have a problem with a piece of paper, in my opinion. All right. God bless you. Thank you all for sitting with me on this evening. And so this was Fireworks Sunday. I get excited about these things. I absolutely love talking about love and marriage and relationships. And I guess the viewers won this one because these are the kinds of questions that come in. And so I would just completely put the seal of approval on this tonight, God's seal of approval, by saying, this is all the will of God. It's all about the will of God. God, it is God that created love. It is God, okay, that formed relationships. And if we are interested, if we have a vested interest in the one that we love, in the future of the one we love, we care about what God thinks and we care about doing it God's way. So thank you so much for this evening, and join me again next Sunday. We're still playing a little bit with some of this and learning what works, what doesn't work. But what does work is your questions. So keep sending me your questions to ttlbtv@gmail.com. Those of you know me personally have other ways of sending in your questions. All right. And each Sunday at 7 p.m. we will meet here and you will learn what the viewers have sent in, what questions they want to ask. Share this with people that you know. Make sure before you hop off tonight that you like and you subscribe. Okay, like and subscribe, and don't forget to share. All right, God bless you. Have a wonderful, wonderful 4th of July.